What do you think the Titans plan to do at number one?
It's a fantastic question. I think that the best possible outcome in the Titans' minds would be somebody comes to them with the type of offer for the number one pick that leaves them no choice. And you just have to take it and build for the future, pick up additional first round draft picks, and then, figure out how far you're dropping. Is one of those quarterbacks there at that point? Do you get the best position player available, and move forward, but get significant value out of it? The issue is in this draft, I don't know, and maybe people feel different about Cam Ward by the time we get to the last week of April, but I don't know that there's a quarterback or any position player that people are just going to clamor for and want to give up multiple future first round picks to go up a spot or two or three and take the guy. So, the Titans will have, I believe they'll take this as far into the process as they need to, continue to listen to potential offers for the number one pick. When it comes right down to it, they've got some various pressures there. They've got a new GM in Mike Borgonzi. They got a second-year coach in Brian Callahan. They had the worst record in the NFL last season. They're building a stadium. The ownership wants to have some excitement surrounding that stadium. You need to face the franchise type of player. You also need a quarterback. And there's not a lot out there in terms of quarterbacks if you're talking about free agency. Maybe in trades, maybe some of the older players who are available could be alluring there. I just believe they need to be fully convinced. And if they're not sold on Cam Ward or if it's Shador or, still think there's a realistic possibility that one of these other quarterbacks who is throwing, Cam and Shador or not, but one of these quarterbacks who is throwing at the combine, whether that's Jackson Dart or Quinn Ewers, one of those guys could vault themselves into the QB2, if not the QB1 situation. If they just aren't sold on any of those guys, Travis Hunter is such a dynamic player. And Abdul Carter, obviously, he's been dealing with a couple of different injury things here of late. But if you're sold on that guy as Chad Brinker might have referred to him as the transformational player that makes you not want to move out of that pick, if you just think that guy's the best one to take, then you sit and want to do it. I think, though, you put yourself in a really tough spot if you take a quarterback at number one that you are not 100% sold on, because you only get one swing at these things. Very few GMs get a second opportunity to draft the franchise quarterback, even though it's Mike Borgonzi's first year. There's certainly going to be a lot of focus on how he and Chad Brinker and Brian Callahan and the rest of the brain trust there, how they navigate this thing. I do think that Travis Hunter is probably the one that we have talked about the least. I've seen all the mock drafts with Abdul Carter going number one. I've seen all of the the quarterback speculation, namely with Cam Ward. There's never been a cornerback taken number one overall in the modern draft history. But Travis Hunter is more than a cornerback. This guy could be the closest thing that we've seen in terms of a two-way player since Deion Sanders, who was his college head coach 30 years ago. If you just think this dude is so rare that he's going to be the one who can guide you forward, and then you kind of, you scrap it together, whatever you need to do with the quarterbacks, maybe look in 2026 for the QB. I think you got to really be reluctant about just saying, well, we have to get a quarterback right here at the expense of missing out on somebody who can be a generational talent.
You're 100% right. That's how I see it. I don't know how you possibly pass him if you can possibly get him.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.